Even though slavery was abolished years ago, human trafficking is still present around the world.
Modern-day slavery, human trafficking, the facts. Human trafficking, as defined by the United Nations, is a very large bulk of legal term. The condensed version is the forceful transport of people away from their homes in order to exploit them for profit, often forcing them to work with little to no pay and unable to walk away under the threat of violence or otherwise. It is a horrific crime akin to modern-day slavery. This can be split into two categories: sex trafficking and labor trafficking. Sex trafficking involves the victim being exploited sexually, with the criminal making money off their prostitution. Labor trafficking involves the victim being exploited through manual work, like in agriculture, domestic work like maids, and factories. Often, there are three parts to human trafficking: an act, a means, and a purpose. Recent immigrants are the most targeted because they are often unfamiliar with their new country. Human trafficking is a heinous crime, and yet it happens around the world today.
Human trafficking happens all over the world, such as Latin America, North America, Africa, Australia, Asia, Europe, and in the Middle East. Human trafficking is found in many places where there is a cheap labor force. Children to work in factories for minimum wage or less. When human trafficking happens, it occurs usually to teenagers and younger people from poor families. The majority of trafficking cases are found among the estimated 90,000 to 300,000 slaves in Haiti and the 3,000 additional slaves who are trafficked to the Dominican Republic.
Human trafficking generates tens of billions of dollars in profits for criminals each year, which is likely why it is one of the fastest growing criminal industries in the world. It is estimated that at any one time there are 20.9 million people who are being subjected to sexual or labor exploitation. Trafficking plagues 161 countries around the world. Women are disproportionately involved on both sides, making up 98% of sex trafficking victims and 56% of labor trafficking victims, but are also involved more than men as the criminals.
Even though it still happens, slavery is illegal in every country in the world. Many countries have individual laws written up about slavery, but the United Nations has a document as well. It is called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In Article 2 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it clearly states that everyone is entitled to all rights and freedoms, meaning that every human being has a right to freedom. They cannot be locked up in a house, basement, room, or whatever it may be, because that is going against human rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights also states that everyone has the right to leisure, responsible work hours, and periodic paid holidays. Under it, everyone has the right to adequate living conditions and security in the case of circumstances beyond their control. It also states that mothers and children have a right to additional assistance. In it, base education is made free and mandatory, and parents also have the right to choose what kind of education is to be given to their child.